What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Today, we're going to be flying the PMDG 737 from Detroit, KDTW, to Philadelphia, KPHL. We'll be doing it from cold and dark to cold and dark. I haven't done anything in this plane yet. All I did was load into the game and make sure it was in a cold and dark state. So I'm going to go through the whole cold and dark to flight plan, to cruise, to landing, to everything. We're gonna do the whole flight. So first thing we want to do is we are gonna follow. If you just Google a Boeing 737 checklist, you can get a pretty general checklist. They're all pretty much the same. First thing we need to do is check down here, make sure the parking brake is set. We'll go to our overhead panel and we'll make sure our battery is turned on. Our electric hydraulic pumps will get turned on as well. That's going to be 1 and 2. And our ground power connection needs to be on. Now, first thing we need to do is we need to make sure we have ground power. So we're going to go ground services, ground power type, ground power cart. I think I have to request it. Oh no, whoops. Okay, so we already, I didn't realize it started out by default with it. So in a second, we'll reconnect that. I think you'll probably see, you can't really see it right there, but off the nose there, right there, that's the ground power unit. So I have it set up where it's already there. So we'll go ahead and just request that, get it reconnected. Once it's reconnected, we should be able to toggle on our ground power and go on to ground power. So it says connecting now. And as soon as that says connected, which I would have known if I looked up here because ground power is available. So we'll click ground power to on. We are now on the ground power and off of the battery. All right, landing gear is down. APU fire warning, which I believe is this, which is working. APU fire warning, position lights need to be turned on. They're already turned on to steady. Wing lights can come on, wing. And our engine bleed switches can come on. So our engine bleed switches are already on. And what else we got? Engine bleed switch, IRSs, yes, always forget that. IRSs need to get turned on so that they can align. Yaw damper can be turned on. Every time I turn this on, it turns itself back off. So once I get the plane started up, I'll turn that back on. Not sure if that's the way it's supposed to be or if I'm doing something wrong. Emergency exit lights, we're gonna arm those and we can go ahead and close that down. And no smoking and seatbelt signs can get turned on. So we'll set that to auto, seatbelts to auto. Flap lever is up, speed brake lever is down, and window heat and probe heats. Window heat can come on. Not that one. And probe heats will stay off for now. So that is everything we need to do before or for our pre-flight checklist. Now what we need to do is we need to get into our flight plan here. Return FM. What do I gotta do here? Fuel. I think I need to do fuel here. There's two different places you do fuel, but this is, I think, to set the plane up through PMDG's system. Zero fuel weight is 117, which is pretty much 118 because we're gonna round it up. 118. Zero fuel weight. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay, return. Close out of that. Close out of that. FMC. All right, now we need to, whoops, I didn't mean to go out of that. Now we need to get our position. So we are at KDTW. We put that in here as our reference airport. And we'll go to next page. We'll grab this GPS left. We'll go previous page and we'll paste it in here. We now have our alignment. So flight plan KDTW is where we're at, and we're going to KPHL destination. We are flying DAL, Delta Airlines 215, and we'll put the flight number in there. All right, next page, we're going to be flying. Here is our route. I'll pull up over here. We'll be flying this departure to this waypoint or this transition, and this arrival via this transition. So all we need to do now is put in our waypoints. So SB, ESSBE. We're going to fly direct to, then CXR, CXR, direct, and then EWC, EWC, and then JST, JST. Put that in there. This one, it's the closer one. All right, so that is our waypoints. Now we will go to departure and arrival. Our departure is going to be runway 22 left, departure, via the Pavel 2, I don't know, I'm probably saying that wrong, but this one. And the SB transition, SB and runway 22 left. All right, departure, our arrival is going to be runway 27 right, ILS 27 right, via the this one right here, Bojid, and the JST transition. So that should be our flight plan. We can go back to route, we can go to activate, execute, and what we're going to do now is come up here. We're going to change this to plan mode. We're going to zoom ourselves out just a little bit. Down here, we're going to go to our legs and we're going to step through our flight plan. Make sure everything is in there properly. All right, and then we would get vectors there. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that and go direct because we don't have ATC today. All right, so everything looks fine. Takes us right up to the runway. That looks good to me. Legs. We can go ahead and set this back to map mode and we'll keep it zoomed out. Lighting, we can get our main panel light going just a little bit. We have a little bit of background light, floodlight going. Our other lighting, I think, is, I forget what button it is to look down. There we go. Get a little bit of lighting here. We'll get some panel lighting on here. We'll go 6. We'll get some circuit breaker lights and a little bit of panel lighting up here as well. Okay, a little more information we have to put into the flight plan here. We need to go to init reference. Our cruise altitude, I believe, is 350. So we'll go 350. I don't think I have to put FL. No, I don't. Okay. All right, our cruise winds at flight level 350 are going to be, let's see, 356 at, or yeah, 356031. So 356031. We'll put that in there. And we should be able to, our zero fuel weight was was it 9 or 8? 118. So 118, and we'll put that in there. Reserves, we'll do 2. Cost index 35. Execute that, and we'll go next. We're gonna take off. We have enough runway here, so we don't need to go crazy with our takeoff. So we will do that one. And our flaps will be set to 5. And this should generate our V1, V2, and V3 speeds. Or V1, VR, and V2 speeds, I should say. Not 100% sure what this percentage is here. So I'm going to skip that for now. And we'll go next page. Runway wind. So wind here, I didn't even look that up. We could pull up on here. There we go. So winds here are 110 at 07 knots. Oh, I just closed out of that. I meant to close out of this one. All right, there we go. So winds here 110 at 07. 110 at 07. We'll put that in here. Runway slope, we'll have to take a look at that. Everything else looks fine here. Takeoff speeds were deleted, so we have to go back because we changed the wind information, which is going to change our VREF information. Okay, so altimeter is 3020, which we could put that in now since we're already here. So 3020, there we are. I think that we're done with this for now. We can get rid of that for the moment. And I think everything here is good to go. I want to double check this FS actions, fuel. I don't know if it changed when I put that in. Oh, well, we need 118. I think we already have fuel in it though. 118. I'm not sure why I can't change. Oh, total pounds. That's what I need to change. Our block fuel 13828. 13. Oh, it's already. Gotta clear that out. 13828. Verify takeoff speeds. Yes. Okay. So now that is where we needed it to be. And I have to go back to init ref. Still learning this plane, so there's a bit of a learning curve for me. Where is our takeoff information? Here we go. So our V speeds change a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now everything is set right, I believe. Could be wrong still, but let's hope that we're right. Everything there looks good. So now what we need to do, we need to set this to, well, we need to figure out what our departure calls for our first altitudes. So we'll take a look at that. Looks like we're going to climb initially up to 7,000 and then be cleared up to 9. So we're going to put our altitude here up to 7,000. And then let me see, let me just make sure, because we're taking off runway 22 left. So 22 left, climb heading 216 to intercept course 179. So we'll do a heading 226. Climb heading 226. Intercept course 179. Okay, great. Then track 108 to cross below 7,000. Okay, so 7,000 is going to be our target altitude there. Okay, so what else we need to look at? We need to look at our runway 27 right for KPHL, open charts, approach runway 27 right, and put in some information here. First thing we need is our ILS is going to be 211, and we set that down here. You'll see at the bottom of the screen right here, barrel. We want 211. Oh, that went too quick. All right, 211. And our ILS frequency is 10895. So we want to forget what button it is. There we go. 10895. Just like that. And we'll put that in the active frequency. We can do it over here too if we want, but I don't think this has a Cat 3 approach because I didn't see it on the chart there. 95. Put it in active anyway. All right, what else do we need here? We need our pressures. So we're going to be climbing up to flight level 350. So we'll put this up to 350. Our landing altitude runway, or landing runway, is 36. So we don't have to change this. I mean, we could put it up to 50, but it's in increments of 50. We could just leave it there. That is for our pressurization and everything to make sure that's all correct. And I think that we have everything set up correctly, if I'm not mistaken. Which means we are ready for pushback. So before start checks, FMC's program flight directors, we need to turn those on. That is one here and one here. Flight directors are on. Auto throttle switch needs to come on. That's right here. Excuse me. We also have to set our course, which I'll do that in a minute. But auto throttle switch, Mach indicator. Our initial climb out, we're gonna do 250. All right. Heading selector set. We'll set that once we're on the runway, which I think we did. That's the heading we need to take off and head towards. Altitude selector, we have set autopilot disengage bar is up. That is correct. Thrust levers, idle stab trim set, or stabilizer trim set, which takeoff trim. We need to bring this down a little bit. Keep going. I wish I could spin this quicker. All right, that's good. All right, stabilizer trim, auto brakes. They need to be set to RTO. Auto brakes are right here. We'll set them to rejected takeoff. And APU, we can start. So we'll come up here. Our APU switch is right here. We'll click it to on, and then we'll click it to start. You'll see this gauge come up right here. As soon as that starts to rise and stabilize around 4,000, then our APU is good. In the meantime, while we're watching that, we want to come back up here. Stabilizer trim, auto brakes, APU start. APU bleed switch needs to come on. APU bleed switch on. APU generator switches. We will click them on once we have stabilized the APU, which will be momentarily. While we're waiting for that, we still have the staircase here, which we need to get rid of. So we'll go to menu, FS actions, ground services. I believe it's next page. Actually, I think if you close the door, it gets rid of that. So we'll close the door, and we will have to come back to ground services here in a moment. We'll wait to see if that, there goes the door's closed. We'll see if we get rid of the staircase there, which I believe it does. I think our APU is probably fired up. It might not get rid of it. All right, let's see. APU is stabilized, so our APU generator switches need to come on. So we'll click this one on and this one on. We are now off ground power and running on our APU. So we'll go to FS actions. We'll go to ground services. We will release the ground power, and we will remove the wheel chocks, which now I think, there it goes. Now we're getting rid of it. Okay, so before pushback, we need to have our fuel pump switches on. Well, let me just double check down here. So we are not running any fuel in our middle tank. We're only running fuel on our outer tank, so we don't have to put our middle tanks on. So we'll go fuel, pumps on. APU generator switches are turned on. We just verified that by toggling on APU. Seatbelt signs are on. Flight deck doors and windows are locked and closed. Ground equipment is disconnected, and anti-collision lights are now on. All right. With that being said, we can click our engine to left ignition. We will call for our tug, and I think we're pushing back. I need to install the pushback toolbar. There's also a pushback option for the PMDG 737, which is a little bit confusing to use. I haven't quite learned how to use that yet. So I'm just going to do a straight back pushback, and then we'll taxi out to the left. So we're going to runway 22 left. So we need to back out and to the left. Well, we're not going to do that right now, but we need to push out. And then when we go, we need to go to the left. So we have our engine start turned on, and our pushback is ready to go. So we will go Shift P, which is for the default pushback. As soon as we start pushback, we'll get our engine going. We'll release our parking brake. Come on. There we are. We'll set our right engine to ground. We will see our N1, or I'm sorry, I think our N2. Our N2 coming up. When that hits 1820, we'll introduce our fuel by releasing the fuel cutoff valve, or raising the fuel cutoff valve like this. There we go. We've introduced fuel. The engine's now starting. Once that engine starts up, stabilizes, we'll get our second engine going. We can hop into a wing view here. The view I like the most is this one. So we will probably stop our pushback here in just a moment. I don't want to push back too far. Right about there, we'll go ahead and stop it. And we'll put our brake on. All right, we'll verify that our brake is set, which it is. Our right engine is, I think, up and running. Yep, ground clicked off. So we'll go ahead and go to the left one. We'll turn it to ground. And we'll get our left engine going. Same process. Once we get up to about 18 or 20 on the N2, we'll introduce the fuel to it and get the engine started. So there's 18. We'll introduce fuel. And the engine is firing up. All right. Once that engine stabilizes, we'll do our after start checklist. Still waiting on it to stabilize here. This switch up here, there it goes, switches to off, and that's how you know that your engines are ready. So we are ready for our after start checks, which are engine generator switches 1 and 2 come on. That is here and here. So we are now off our APU. APU bleed switch can come off, and our APU can come off as well. Probe heat switches 1 and 2 come on. 1, 2. And a master caution system recall, engine and wig anti-ice as required. We don't need that. Pack switches left and right get turned to auto, and we will turn those to auto. All right, isolation valve can come to auto as well. And taxi clearance and transponder, we will squawk mode C, which is right here. TA/RA. All right, we are good to go. We are good to taxi. So our taxi checklist, parking brakes can come off. Before we take our parking brakes off, we'll get our taxi lights turned on. Taxi lights on. Runway turn-off lights are on. Flaps need to be set. 1, 2, and 3. Flaps are now set. Flight controls. Let's take a look down here. Free and clear. We have control. And we are ready for our taxi. All right. So we will release the parking brake, and we will give it a little bit of throttle, and we'll get a hard left turn here to get us onto the taxiway because we couldn't push back in that direction that we wanted to. Alright, and there we are. We'll continue forward here. We'll give it a little more throttle. There we are. Bring it back to idle. We're going to make a left here and then an immediate right and follow that all the way down to runway 22 left. If you guys are enjoying this video, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment. If there's anywhere you want me to fly, let me know, and I will do a flight from there, from or to there. Also, this plane is very new to me, so if there's any steps that I missed, it is something that I'm still learning. It's a work in progress here, so feel free to comment anything that you think I missed or need to work on. And we're going to cross this runway here. And we're gonna go all the way down to runway 22 left. So this is runway 27 right that we're crossing. We'll give it a little more throttle so we can get moving a little quicker. There's a nice view, nice little overcast sky. Should make for a very nice departure. It'll probably look really nice once we get up above those clouds. Just like those blanket clouds, they're just really nice looking. All right, we'll just continue along here. I think I may have left multiplayer on. I'm not sure if I'm in a multiplayer game or not. I might have left it on, so I don't know if you'll see some plane fly across the screen or something, but I don't think so, but it's possible. All right, so as you can see here, we're just taxiing our way right alongside of runway 22 left. That's the one on the left of us that we're going to be taking off of. And we're taking that all the way down. Flying out of Detroit, heading into Philadelphia. I think it's morning time too. I think I set the time to early. The weather is live weather, but the time is not. And the reason for that is because it's nighttime. So I didn't want to do a nighttime flight for the first 737 flight. But I will have some nighttime flights coming. So I can give it a little more throttle again, just to keep us moving. We're starting to slow down here. Oh yeah, we'll come up here. We'll do that yaw damper. Hopefully that stays on this time. Before takeoff, we'll make sure that the auto throttle is armed, which it is. Engine start switches will turn to continuous. Master caution system recall. Transponder is already set. Landing lights and strobe lights will come on. That's going to be our takeoff checklist. All right, here we are approaching our runway. All right, we'll start kicking some brakes in. That way we don't swing this turn too hard. All right, and we will hold short here for just a moment. We'll go ahead and toggle our brakes on. And while we're sitting here, before takeoff, auto throttle, we're good. Engine switches to continuous. That's up here. We're going to switch these to continuous. Caution system recall. Transponder is turned on. Landing lights and strobe lights. So landing lights on. Strobe lights are already on. We're good. Actually, they're on steady. So we'll turn them actually on. There we go. Okay. All right. We'll line up on the runway. We'll release our brake. And go ahead and give a little bit of throttle. We're going to arm our VNAV and our LNAV on the autopilot. All right, and there we are, lined up with the runway. We'll set our heading, runway heading. We're going to be an immediate left-hand turn off after takeoff. We'll zoom this in a little bit more. There we go. All right, I think we are good to go. I don't think there's anything I missed. Let's hope we don't get any bells and whistles going off when we hit our toga. So here we go. We're going to hit toga. Let's go. Engine's spooling up. We're going to maintain this center line as best as we can. Sometimes it's a little difficult.
knots.
80 knots, cross check.
V1. Rotate.
Rotating. Kick a little right rudder in.
Positive rate of climb.
And we'll gear up. And we're going to pitch for our our flaps, which we're coming up on now. So we'll put flaps in almost. We'll put them to flaps 1. And up, we'll put them flaps up. Flaps are fully retracted, and we'll click on the autopilot. And there we are. There is a beautiful departure out of Detroit. There's a nice wing view for you. A nice quick window view, and then we'll jump back in the cockpit here. All right, let's hop back in the cockpit. Very nice view out there. We'll wait a second to hop in the cockpit. There we are, about to go into clouds here. Okay, we are looking good so far. We will go back into VNAV mode. I don't know why we're in speed mode there. There we are. Okay, after takeoff checklist, landing gear up, check, flaps up. We'll put landing gear to off mode. There we go. Taxi switches or taxi lights off. And strobe lights, I'm sorry. Autopilot on, auto brakes off. There we go. Coming up on our altitude of 7,000. We'll hold that altitude until we cross over Yimi here. And that is our altitude restriction. So we'll level out here for a minute. Come over here. We'll set strobe lights to steady. There we are. All right, we will set our engines to off instead of continuous since our departure has been complete. Auto brakes are off, flaps, landing gear, taxi light switches are off, autopilot is on, climb checks, landing lights are off. We're not there yet. Engine start switches to off. I guess we should have waited a minute for that, but that's okay. Seatbelt signs as required. That is going to be our next checklist. Jump on a wing view here. Very, very beautiful flight. Very realistic. Very immersive. It feels like this is real. Like I'm actually sitting in this plane. They did a really good job on the details of this plane. And I've been enjoying it very much so. So we are holding 7,000 until we get to Yimi. And then we're going to go up to 9,000. And then after that, we are cleared up to our 35,000 cruise. Which I believe was 35,000. Yeah, 350. So we're about to cross over Yimi in a minute here, as you can see here. And once we do, we'll be cleared up to 9,000, which I can set this to now. And the plane knows the restriction, so it won't climb until we hit that, until we cross that waypoint there. Not too much to see. We're flying at the base of the clouds here, so you can't really see too much out the window, unfortunately. But we will be climbing above those clouds in just a moment here. There's our left-hand turn. We're about 1 mile out from Yimi. And then we'll cross Howard. We need to be below 9,000 at Howard, and then we are cleared up to 35,000. There we are, crossing over that waypoint, heading up to our 9,000. Still passing through the clouds, so not too much to see. We will be breaking out of these clouds momentarily, and we are cleared up to 35,000. So let's go ahead and put it up. Flight level 350. And there it is, 350. And there we go. Breaking out of the clouds here. Beautiful blue skies above. Like I said, I thought this overcast was going to look really cool from above, and it certainly does so far. Flight shouldn't take too long. We're looking at about an hour and 16 minutes in air time. So just kick back, relax, and I hope you guys do enjoy the flight. I won't do too much talking from now until we start our descent. I will jump in and out of the cockpit periodically just to make sure everything is good. But I will probably do a time lapse here, and I'll try and keep it as smooth and consistent as I can. Alright guys, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed that flight. We are coming up on our top of descent up here, so we needed to get some more information in, and we're going to start our descent. So first thing I want to do is we're going to runway 27 left. I wanted to jump down and take a look at the chart for 27 left. It looks like our intercept altitude is going to be 2100. So I am going to set this down to 2100. However, the plane is going to follow the altitude constraints for each waypoint. This is just the lowest altitude that I want it to go. Let's bring our charts back here. Also, up top here, final approach course 268. I never set that here. So we're going to go ahead and put in our final approach course 268. There we go. Jumped right to it. And here is our departure, or our arrival. We are doing this one, the Bojid 2. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but this arrival, and that's where we're at. So we just crossed over the VOR, and we are about to start our descent down to 8,000. And that's why we jumped back in the plane here. So you can see right here, this green TOD or TD, that's top of descent. As long as your plane is in LNAV and VNAV, well, I guess VNAV most importantly, it will follow that descent profile. So another thing I want to do to double check, again, runway 27 right, we're going to open that chart up again. Approach 27 right. And I just want to make sure 211, we have our stuff set that we need. So 211 we do down here on our barometer, and our localizer is 108.95. Let's just double check that. 108.95 on both. We are solid there. We don't have to start our descent checklist just yet. However, our descent checklist is going to be landing lights on, seatbelt signs on, air conditioning and pressure checked, engine wing anti-ice as required, transition altitude, local QNH, ATIS obtain, emergent or engine start switches, continuous FMC set for arrival approach. That is going to be our checklist for our descent. As you can see now, the plane is starting to pitch itself down, and it's going to start following that descent profile. So we have pretty much entered the first leg of our arrival here, and it should be a pretty smooth flight down. Seems to be decent weather. I want to go into here, and I want to go to let's see, I don't remember what we need here. Approach, right? Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay, so we're gonna do a 30-degree flap. So 132 knots plus 5 is going to be our we'll put it in here. It's going to be our approach speeds. So that is how you do that. Alternate destination. I'm not going to do that. And we'll go back to legs. You can see the legs here. It's following our descent profile, and it's going to follow our altitude restrictions and our speed. It will start slowing us down. By BOJID, we'll be at 220 and 190 down to 3,000, down to 2,100, which is where we're going to intercept. And everything looks like it's set up good. I don't think we're going to have any issues. Let's knock on wood. This is only my third landing with this plane, so I'm hoping that everything goes smooth and as expected. The flight was very smooth, didn't have much turbulence at all. This plane does react pretty well to turbulence. It's the most turbulent plane that I've flown, but the plane is certainly a lot of fun. Great views. We can go through a couple more of the other views here. Here's the wing view, wing with engine. It's a little bit further forward with the wing with engine, and then my favorite view, which is just the wing view. I like it because you can see the most of the ground and everything, which I think I mentioned before. But yeah, so we're on our way down. We're at 35,000, I think was our cruise altitude, and we're already down to 29,000, coming up on 500. And our plane is following the descent profile perfectly, as you can see right here, as indicated. You can also see by this pink diamond right here, or pink arrow. Everything is looking good. So we also need to update our MEDAR. Right now the MEDAR looks like it's altimeter 3031 with 050 at 3 knot winds. I don't know if I have to put that in here. Flap speed. We go next page. No, that's it. I'm sure there's a way to insert the because like wind correction plus 5. I'm not sure. Maybe there might be a way to do it, and I'm just not sure how to. But our altimeter is going to be 3031, which we will change shortly. There's a little bit of turbulence. I don't know if it's turbulence, but we're turning onto our course here. Take a look at our course. We'll zoom it out some. It's a little bit crazy. We kind of fly up here and make a right, then make a left. We'll be parallel with the runway at that point. Then we'll come up, we'll loop around onto this waypoint, and that's when we're going to lock onto our localizer and our ILS. We'll zoom that back out. We'll do 20 miles. Coming up on 25,000 shortly. So once we hit that 18,000 threshold, we'll start our checklist and make sure everything is set properly for that. I mean, we could do that now. Descent, landing lights. We don't need landing lights on yet, but it calls for it. I think the landing lights come on below 10,000. Seatbelt signs, they are set. Air conditioning pressures. We did all our pressurization. Everything looks good up here. Everything looks fine. Transition altitude, ATIS, engines. All right, yeah. So we'll wait to do that. I'm not really sure when you're supposed to start your descent checklist. I mean, you would think on descent, but landing lights don't have to come on until 10,000, so I don't think you turn them on before that. Engine start switches, I don't think you need to turn them on until you're below 10,000. I could be wrong. This is just what I think. So we'll wait till we get a little bit lower. Once we cross that 18, we'll put in our altimeter and we'll go from there. We'll kind of step this process, the checklist for that. We're coming up on 23,000. And it looks like we are still following our path very well. Pretty locked onto it. Some clouds out there, overcast. It was a very nice departure. I really enjoyed that departure, and seeing the overcast and everything looked really nice. So we'll just continue along here. Just off our right wing, we're going to be overflying Wilmington, Delaware. Can't quite see it yet. I don't know if you'll be able to actually see the city, but Wilmington's going to be off to our right. I can just move over and take a look out the window here. I think over there in that area is going to be Wilmington. Not that way. So we're actually not too far out from Philadelphia. We should be getting Philadelphia in sight relatively soon. We're at 20,000. We're going to go ahead and put our altimeter in now, which was, again, to refresh, it was 3031. So we'll take this out of standard mode and we'll go 3031. There we are. Okay, our altimeter is set. We'll do our landing lights. We'll get them on, just because that's what it wants us to do. And our engine start switches, we will set here to continuous. Again, I think I'm doing that a little bit early, but that's okay. Our FMC is set for our arrival. Our ATIS is good. And once we are below 10,000 and getting closer to our final approach, we will set our approach checks. We'll do all our approach checks. A little bit of a headwind here. I guess a head crosswind at 45 knots. You can see right here on the FMS. I think that's the FMS. PFD, Primary Flight Director. Actually, this is probably the FMS. Anyway, following the profile just fine. Still locked onto it. Actually, I think we're a little bit high. We're going to add some speed brakes in, and we're going to try and get her down a little bit quicker. There we are. Okay, so we came off of our profile a little bit, as you can see right here, which we're now realigning with. We're going to slow the plane down a little bit, and we're going to follow that profile right down. There we are. So we'll release our brakes, our speed brakes, which if you go in the wing view, there's what they look like. Now we are back on the profile as we should be. We'll keep an eye on that, make sure we don't slip off of that again. There we are. Just off the tip of the wing there is where Wilmington, Delaware would have been. And we're coming out over Philadelphia here soon. Philadelphia's just off of our nose here. pretty soon our plane will start slowing down to match our required speeds. I keep doing that. I forget that that yoke is there. So we're going to be slowing down to 220 pretty quickly, it looks like. Crossing over 12,000. Well, 12,800, coming down to 12,000. So far, we're following our descent pretty well. We'll put the overlay on here. We can take a look. Actually, I think we're still a little bit high according to that chart. We should probably be, it says we should be at about 6,000 right now. So we'll put our speed brake in and try and get us down a little bit quicker. The top of descent wasn't quite as effective as needed this today, so that's okay. We will get ourselves down to 6,000. We'll just put this up to 6,000 just like that, and we'll come out of level into level change. We'll bring our speeds down to we'll do 230, and we'll keep our flaps fully retracted, and we're going to pitch for that altitude. We're going to try and get down as quickly as we can since we're a little bit high. We were following our top of descent correctly, but we were not following our arrival correctly, which is perfectly fine. We can get it down there. Start a right turn here in just a moment. There's Philadelphia down there. Starting to see it off of the wing. And then we're going to make a left turn after that and loop around, which is why I think we'll be all right. We should be able to make this, we'll bring this up to 250 just to get us down a little bit quicker. We should be able to make our altitude just fine. We have full flaps just to slow us down, or not flaps, speed brakes, just to help us slow down a little bit. We're crossing 9,000 now, so we have 3,000 to go. And we'll be at our target altitude. There we are, making our left turn. We'll bring this down to 4,000. We are coming up on our 6,000. There we are. Coming up on 5,000. And we'll start bringing the plane speed down. across our next waypoint at 4,000 and then bring it down to 2,100. We're at 4,500, so we're just about where we need to be. We have to bring our speeds down a little bit more. We got to get it down to about 190. All right, approach checklists. Well, I guess we don't do that quite yet. We'll do that once we make our right turn here. And there we are. We made our speeds and altitudes. So we'll go ahead and release our speed brakes here. Plane is going to maintain 3,190 knots. We're going to make our right-hand turn here in just a moment. Once we make that right-hand turn, we'll be down to, we're going to head down to 2,100 and intercept the ILS and glide slope. All right, so we didn't follow the chart perfectly, but we ended up catching up with the chart. We had to come down a little bit more abrupt. We were coming down a little bit too shallow at first, which is why I went into the manual modes and corrected it. And we are perfectly on par with it now. And just a moment here, we'll start our right turn, which will drop down to 2,100 on the altitude, and we'll start our approach. Here's a nice wing view. All right, still heading up towards this turn here. All right, here we go. Right-hand turn. And starting to head down to 2,100. Once we complete most of this turn, we should be able to click on our localizer and grab the localizer. In the meantime, approach checks. Landing lights are on. Auto brakes are set to medium. We're going to go 2. Decision height set. Master caution recall. Missed approach altitude. Speed brake. Speed brake is now armed. Flaps, landing gear, and taxi lights. So we'll get our taxi lights on. Once we finish this turn, we'll get our flaps going. All right, there we are. We'll bring our speed down a little bit more to about 180, and we'll get our flaps started. You see the flaps retracting there. Your speed's down to about 170. All right, and we will click on, no, we're not gonna do that yet. Let's say we'll click on our localizer. We're not close enough to it yet. And we're going, what, flaps 30, right? Yeah, 30 degrees. And we'll go ahead and set our localizer. There we are, making our turn. And lining up with the localizer here. In just a moment here, we'll activate our approach. But you can see the diamond already on here. We can go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and go into approach mode. And we will bring our speeds down more. Go ahead and drop our gear.
Radio altimeter.
All right, we're coming up on the glide slope here, as you can see by the diamond right here. We're already on our localizer. Get our speeds down to our landing speeds. There we are, locked onto the glide slope. Flaps are fully set. All right, we're set up for a decent landing here. Let's hope all goes well. Coming a little quick, so we're going to throw some speed brakes in. There we go.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continuing.
One 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
And reverse thrust. Yep, we're good. Try and hold that center line. Bring it back over to the center if we can. There we go. And there we are. Welcome to Philadelphia. Not too bad. We didn't follow the approach perfectly there, but we did the best we could. And we corrected whatever we were able to correct once we noticed it. We're gonna go ahead and pull off of the runway here, and we'll start our before taxi checklist, or I guess after landing checklist. So we will go ahead and stop here. We'll put our brake on. After landing, landing lights can come off. Landing lights off. Strobes can come off. We'll leave them on steady. Taxi lights can stay on. Flaps can come up. We'll move our flaps all the way up. Our speed brake lever can go down. Speed brake lever down. Transponder can go to standby, which is over here. There we go. Standby. Transponder standby. Engine start switches will come up here. We'll go back to off. Engine start. Wing ice is off. We never had that on. Stabilizer trim set. APU, we can get started. So APU. There we are. All right, and we will taxi to a ramp. Let's figure out which one we're going to here. I think we're gonna go pretty close by, probably right in front of us here. Yeah, so we're gonna taxi straight along here and then move right up onto the side there. Okay, so let's move this over. We can go ahead and release our parking brakes and give ourselves some throttle here and get us moving. There we are. All right, and we will taxi right into our gate here. Oh, you know what? That was not where we were supposed to be. We're supposed to be over here. That's okay. We'll be a little bit crooked today. I can probably straighten most of it out, but I was looking at the wrong taxi line there. Come on. Keep us going. And there we are. We'll do that right there. So we'll hit our brakes. Go ahead and toggle our parking brakes on. We'll take a look at our parking checklist. Parking brake is set. Seatbelt signs can come off. Seatbelts off. Seatbelt no smoking can come off. APU generator switchers can come on. On and on. We are now off of our engines. Fuel cutoff switches. We can cut our engines completely off now. So we'll go 1 and 2, or 2 and 1. Master caution. Okay, we'll come back up here. Ground power, we can establish here in a moment because we don't have our... We can request for our ground power here. So we'll go menu, FS actions, ground services. We'll get... we'll put the chalks on and request our ground power. We'll go next. We can request our stairs here in a moment. I think it's... There we go. Stairs. We'll request that. While we're waiting for that, we'll go back up here. Ground power established. So we'll go on ground power. We're now on ground power. APU switch, bleed switch can come off. That should have been on actually. Pack switches left and right set to auto. Engine wing anti-ice off. Probe heat switches off. So you can turn all this off. Probe heats off. Window heat switches off. Emergency lights can be unarmed and go off. Oh, I guess that stays open. Fuel pumps can come off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yaw damper can come off. IRSs can be switched to off mode. Galley switch anti-collision lights, they can come off. Our runway turn off and taxi lights can come off as well. Position lights off. Position light off. Wing lights can come off. And battery switch would essentially come off once we were complete. And that is a full flight. We have our staircase here getting, you know, ready to get people out or whatever. And welcome to Philadelphia. If you guys enjoyed that video, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment. If there's somewhere you want me to fly, let me know. I will be doing more flights in this plane, and I'll see you guys on the next video.